This is Mission Control Houston. We want to welcome you to Space Station Live for Tuesday, October 29th, 2013. This is a live view inside the Space Station Flight Control Room here at the Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. This team here today being led by Flight Director Emily Nelson. Sitting beside her is Leslie Ringo, who is the Capcom, the voice of this team up to the crew. Right now on board the space station, Expedition 37 is having a fairly busy day, working on quite a number of different experiments and other maintenance activity throughout the entire space station. Fyodor Yurchikhin and Luca Parmitano conducted an onboard descent drill inside the Soyuz that will bring them home, with Karen Nyberg coming up in just a few short days. They also spoke with ground controllers to coordinate the list of equipment that will come back home with them aboard the Soyuz. They are also in the middle of crew departure preparations, just packing for the trip home, just like you would here on Earth if you were heading out of town. On Friday, these three will relocate their Soyuz from the Rosvet module, which is where it has been docked since May, over to the Zvezda service module. Zvezda was vacated yesterday as ATV undocked and began the process of heading home. So that port is now open. So they will move over to that port, which is on the aft end, the back end of the Russian segment back there at the back. And that is what the location will be until this crew heads home coming up on November 10th. This will open up that Rosvet port for the upcoming launch of Rick Mastracchio, Koichi Wakata, and Mikhail Turin coming up in just a few short days as well. But on Friday morning at 3:34 a.m. Central Time, that is when Yurchikhin, Parmitano, and Nyberg will undock their Soyuz. It will back up, take a quick trip around the neighborhood, and will redock at 3:58 a.m. Central Time. We will have live coverage of this here on NASA television that morning, and of course we'll have highlights on Friday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time here on Space Station Live. Meanwhile, Sergei Ryazanskiy and Oleg Kotov are working on some routine maintenance inside the Russian segment. They're doing some water sampling over there and also working on some experiments. And Mike Hopkins, a fellow Expedition 37 crew member, is spending the majority of his day replacing some parts on the station's carbon dioxide removal assembly. He has rotated that rack down and is replacing a valve inside there. And that activity is going to take up the better part of his day throughout the afternoon. As we mentioned, there's quite a bit of comings and goings coming up. The first thing we want to look at and remind you of our coverage times is the launch of Mastracchio, Wakata, and Turin. That's coming up first. Here's our full programming list. Beginning on Wednesday, November 6th, we'll have live coverage of the launch beginning at 9:15 p.m. Central Time. That launch will take place at 10:14 p.m. Central Time. And then early morning on Thursday, we'll have docking coverage beginning at 3:45 a.m. Central Time, with the docking actually taking place at 4:31 a.m. Central. We'll have hatch opening coverage beginning at 6:15 a.m. Central Time, with the actual hatch opening taking place within 30 minutes after that at 6:40 a.m. And then we'll have a video file of all the different highlights of the docking and the hatch opening beginning at 8 a.m. Central Time here on NASA television. And then just a few days after that, in terms of landing, whenever Nyberg and Parmitano and Yurchikhin get ready to come home, our coverage will begin at 1:30 p.m. Central Time on Sunday, November the 10th. The hatches will be closed between the crews at 2 p.m. Central Time, and then our undocking coverage will begin at 5 p.m. Central Time that day, with undocking taking place at 5:26 p.m. We'll be back later that evening at 7:30 p.m. with landing coverage. The deorbit burn will take place at 7:56 p.m. Central Time, and then the landing is due to take place at 8:50 p.m. Now that will be 8:50 a.m. over there in Kazakhstan, about 30 minutes after sunrise. And then at 9:30 a.m. we'll have the video file with all the different highlights. Of course, for the latest, just log on to nasa.gov/NTV or nasa.gov/station as we get ready to bring you live coverage of a launch, a spacewalk, and a landing, almost back to back to back.